So apparently next week is the Nike MX Day. So what better way to celebrate than to review the world's first air cushion sneaker. And no, I'm not talking about this, but this. The Karhu Mestari. Now, if it's your first time hearing about Karhu, the TLDR is that the company was founded in Helsinki in 1916 with a long-ass name, renamed it to Karhu in 1920, supplied the shoes to a bunch of record-breaking runners known as the Flying Fanes, and in 1952, most famously sold their rights to the three stripes to a certain German brand for 1,600 euros and 2 bottles of whiskey. And thus, the M logo, which stands for Mestari, was born. It was only in 1977 that the Mestari, aka the first air cushion shoe, debuted. And this was 1 year before Nike released the similarly air cushioned Tailwind. The Mestari was eventually discontinued in 1984 as Karhu favored their newly developed Fulcrum technology, a more efficient midsole that promoted a forward rather than an up and down motion. So that's the quick history. Now, what do I think of the sneaker? Well, first impression is that it reminds you of the iconic Mexico 66 with its relatively slim profile, the M-shaped suede panel, and the rubber toe cap. But in terms of proportions, the suede panel on the Mexico 66 ends just behind the toe cap, and I think this makes your feet look awkwardly long and your toe look clunky, compared to the suede panel on the Mestari that extends further inwards, which creates a sleeker look. Also, on the Mexico 66, I think the thin midsole combined with a relatively high toe spring looks strange. The Mestari, on the other hand, with its taller heel and shorter toe spring, looks more pleasing to the eye. Okay, all this to say is that the Mestari looks pretty nice, but just how well made it is. Well, if capitalistic tendencies are anything to go by, you can bet that the quality will take a hit. The most obvious sign is the overly long laces. Less obvious though are the uppers, primarily made from nylon and suede. Seems sneaker appropriate, but I tried blowing the nylon from the inside and I could barely feel the heat escaping. The fake leather on the tongue and along the collar also kinda makes this worse. If you look closely, it's just a plastic layer on top of another layer of fabric reinforcement. In other words, you're basically wrapping your feet in plastic, and from my 3 months of wear so far, it's definitely been a sweat-inducing experience. Even though there's a terry cloth layer below the tongue, it doesn't really absorb moisture because I've got my socks for that, so I'd say it's there more for comfort against the skin. In terms of construction, the stitches are neat and even, though some threads are already unraveling. It's not noticeable from a distance and doesn't really affect the structural integrity of the shoe, so I wouldn't worry about it. On the inside, the foam insole is removable and provides some arch support, though I always remove the insoles because I like having more room in my sneakers, but more on the sizing later. Below the insole, there's a stiff board which suggests the sneaker is board-lasted, compared to the more common straw board lasting. In general, a board lasted shoe is less flexible, so it's kinda strange why Karhu would do this when a straw board construction is much more comfortable and sneaker appropriate. Anyway, you can't see it, but there's an air cushion unit in the midsole. Can't say I feel any difference in the squishiness or comfort compared to my other sneakers, so I'd say it's more of a marketing gimmick. The outsole is grippy and, more interestingly, seems to be connected with the toe cap in one piece, unlike what you see in the Mexico 66 or other similar sneakers that have a separate outsole and toe cap which are glued together. Not sure if it'll make any functional difference, but I'm hoping this one-piece construction will last a little longer. In terms of fit, I went with a size 8, which is what I usually wear in my sneakers. The Mestari fits true to size lengthwise, but because of the narrow last and my wide feet, I had to remove the insoles for a roomier fit. Also replaced the laces with shorter ones, and I like how the reflective details on the M logo and behind the heel kinda catch the light without being too attention-grabbing. I mostly pair this with shorts, but I think its silhouette is versatile enough to go with high-rise chinos and even wool trousers if you're feeling rakish. So these go for 110 euros online before shipping, and at that price, it's definitely overpriced for what you're getting. The materials are cheap, not very breathable or flexible, and you'd probably want to replace the laces. That's it. I think just the fact that it's one of the best looking sneakers in the track sneaker category makes it a compelling buy. And it being the first air cushion sneaker, I suppose you get bragging rights if that matters to you. Only thing is that not many retailers stock Karhu, so if you can't get your hands on this, the next closest alternative, in my opinion, is the Adidas Dragon. Then again, Adidas currently isn't selling it, but I guess they probably will at some point in the future. So until then, watch this video, and as always, stay subtle.